2020 Kia Telluride. We're going to be changing the spark plugs at 100 and something thousand miles, not over 105, I believe. First, we're going to blow off the engine to get all this dust out.
I think I didn't do what I'd prefer to do. Probably messing with electronics.
Alright, we're going to get all this dust out because we don't want no dust getting into that manifold when we open it up. We already took off these three and we realized that this wiring harness is going to have to come off to get around into there. And we're going to take that off to get to the rear spark plugs and change those out. We're also going to disconnect the negative because we're going to mess around with electronics and we don't want to have no problems whatsoever. And then we're going to take off that, and then we're going to pull this all up. So stay tuned. We'll try to do this fast as filming as much as possible as we adventure on this journey because we're doing it ourselves. So we'll keep you tuned as best as we can. We disconnected the battery. Now we're going to take off the engine box over here and get that out the way. Okay, so as we made it easy, we took out the battery, 10s and the 13. That gives more space to move out the air filter cartridge as well as the thing. So we're going to clean the MAF sensor as well as we get this done to make sure we don't have any problems. And then we'll tackle this bad boy. So we found out we have to use this. Well, we know we have to use this to clean it, but we have to remove the housing as well. So we're using a 10 to get into there and take that off. We've already removed the connection, as you can see already, the electric connection. And then it's highly recommended to get a magnetic screwdriver, a bit catcher, or whatever you want to call it, but it's magnetic, so we make sure we don't drop any magnetic nuts or bolts, or any bolts. We use pick with the magnet. I said that backwards, but don't worry, you know what I'm talking about. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt in here. We're holding it up as we clean it. You can see all of the dirt all over the rag. Good thing to get it inside clean. Alright, so it's much better here. We're cleaning the sensors as well as the thing. And we're going to clean that sensor as well. Do not touch them. Let them air dry for at least an hour or so they can completely dry before you reinstall it. And we're going to use this blend as well. Okay, so now we're going to work on these, taking off the wiring harness. These are 10s. So we're getting all of those off. As you can see, we have the mass airflow sensor taken off to give it space because we cleaned it as well. And we took off the vent and the battery so we have enough space to get the harness out and put it up. We're going to take these off. There's going to be a lot of screws which you describe later on in the video so that you can get a better sense of what you're doing. So as you can see, we disconnected this and that from the harness as well. We disconnected all of these pieces here from our wiring harness. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces from the front harness, and we've disconnected this as well as this screw, and then we've taken the connection out of there in order to that, and then we've disconnected those as well in the wiring harness. This will allow us to continue to proceed forward to getting to these spark plugs. As you can see, it's a lot of little clips that we're taking care of, so make sure you have a little tray or something to hold on to your nuts and bolts so this way you don't lose any of them. So you can see the wiring harness is loose, and what we're going to do so that it doesn't break, we're going to use a zip tie, practical cool man solution to get it out the way and hold it. This way we don't have to worry about hitting anything like that whatsoever. Zip ties, sometimes they can be your mechanic's best friend. Boom. There we go. Now we get a pretty clear picture. As you can see, we have the 3 spark plugs right there, and then we're going to finish doing this so we can just pull this up, and for them we'll be able to see the other 3 in the back much clearer and allow us to change these suckers out, which, as I said, we're over the 100,000 mark at about 103,000 miles on this engine. I don't think too many people have done that so far, but we drive a lot of miles, so we're going to get these out with some 100,000 mile plugs that we'll show you later on in the video. So we're going to show you what we did in here, moving that. We have 2 screws, 2 little screws right over here. Then we had another 2 that were in here, as you can see back there. Then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 2 holes. And then right here, these 2 were holding on the top manifold. We had to screw these because these are very long. So make sure you get those out too to get that. Then coming around here, we went back and we had a 14 back there. As you can see my finger. We had that one. So altogether you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 screws that you had to take off to be able to pull this forward, as well as we had to disconnect this from this over here. Don't touch that because it's a vacuum. Don't touch that whatsoever. Leave that there. So and that would allow it to move up smoothly. As you can see here, we're going to take that off. You see perfectly, we've already air dusted our cover, so we're going to slide this forward. And we'll move it to the side. You will see our intake, so we have no dust to worry about there. Pause this for a second. We have the cover right here. We can see laying here, and like I said, we've dusted everything so far. We're going to get a rag and wipe that down and make sure no dust gets over there. Doing it the natural way, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3. We'll replace the spark plugs on that. We'll cover this with a rag, because we do not want dust in there whatsoever, period. We're in Florida. Sand blows everywhere. All right, so now we have a lot more space to be able to take out 1, 2, 3 spark plugs, 4, 5, 6 spark plugs, and then we're halfway through. You see, we took off the part of the connectors. These 3, they're buttoned over there. Now, important key factor in these right here, these clips, we're in Florida, so they were pretty hard to get out. Normally, you'd be able to pull this forward and push that up. So like that, but we had to pry this out a little bit and push that down in order to get these out. But once you get the hand of it, you get a little flat screwdriver, you'll be able to get it touched, but take your time and it'll work for you. You just got to get it pried out, and it has these little things clipped to it, the little, the word escapes around, the zip ties on there as well to hold them together. So we didn't need to break the zip ties to get them loose, so that was great. And as you can see there, so now you need to make sure you unscrew each one of these as you change the spark plugs. And get it twisted back and forth and get it out. All right, go ahead.
So when we put that back together, we're going to put a little bit of dielectric grease in this. Make it nice and weather resistant.
All right, as you can see, we're going to get our spark plug back in there with our 5/8 socket. And these were nice. They were a little bit of prying back and forth to get them off, but as you can see, it comes off easy once you take out the 10mm. You better get these in here, and then you'll have this bad boy right here. With some dielectric grease, and we put the spark plug in, we'll be good to go. And you can do them one at a time, or you can do all 3. It's depending on you, but to minimize the risk of any dirt or anything in there, we're taking them apart one at a time and putting them back one at a time. As you can see, we have that drying. It hasn't been an hour yet, but we have that drying, so it'd be nice and dry when we put our sensor on. But we're trying to minimize this video as small as possible with as much detail as we can. And we're not professional mechanics. We just watched the YouTube and we did it ourselves, showing you some of the intricate details that weren't shown in there. As you can see, there's the hood right there. And yeah, we're getting it done.
I gap these iridiums because the pin's so tight. You can check it though if you want, but normally.
So what it should be if they have to gap it?
So I'd have to Google
4,
it.
I think.
So I'd have to Google it.
All right, make sure you Google it just to be safe. We have a bioelectric diesel. Some people say you don't need it, but my man Mike said it's good that we use this just to be safe on the safe side. And we have 6 of these laser iridium ones we're putting in here, 100,000 miles, and we're going with it. And we're using magnetic. You can use a rubber one, which is great to pry the socket plug out, but we're using magnetic 5/8 sockets to get the ratchet plug out. Ratchet plug, socket, spark plug, beep beep. Okay, we're doing this one, and it's moving nice and smooth on there. As you can see, you should be able to hand twist and turn these spark plugs, as well as any one of the screws taking this apart. They should be hand torqued, not with a ratchet, electric drill or an air torque gun. You should be able to hand do it, making sure that they're nice and tight according to human strength. Use magnetic, just grab the spark plug. Let's take a look at this spark plug here.
Yeah, she's burnt. She's ready to go.
Yeah, she's burnt up. NGK, but she did a lifetime, and we're gonna install this pretty baby right here. Big difference. Look at the tip. Look at the tips of that. I can't really zoom in too much, but okay, there we go. Now you can see the difference. Huh? I think it's 102, 103,000 miles on this truck. But look at that. Now we're going to hands tighten it into there, and you want to hand tighten it just so you get the right angle. And so you don't have to worry about no stripping, no threading. And once again, make sure your engine is nice and cool, because a lot of these parts are aluminum, some are plastic. You do not want to strip any threads or anything like that. So important, make sure your engine is nice and cool, and you don't want to burn your hands. Then we'll hand tighten our first change in there. And then we're going to put some bioelectric grease in our boot. Doesn't matter the brand you use.
It helps.
All right, go ahead, soften begin.
Not only it helps keep corrosion out, it helps you get it out again.
All right, smart move because you want to be able to get that bad boy back out again. And as you can see, it slides nice and smoothly back onto there with a nice little pop. And then we have our screw, which is right here, a 10 millimeter. And this is good to keep all your screws in tight, so this way you know exactly what you're doing. That's why we did them one by one. Put this bad boy back in the box that we already used, so everything is nice and neat as we put things away. So here's the angle of one of the front spark plugs. You can see it. Let's see if we can get this out the way a little bit. See it nice and clean in there. You can see spark plug down in there. We're gonna get that out, and what happened is I didn't realize we didn't have a magnetic ratchet or 5A socket, so we're controlling the drop by dropping the spark plugs with our hands back into the thing, not letting them just fall so hard. This way we can control the drop and the way they fall in. And as you can see, we've connected the back pieces back already, and we're just gonna one, two, three on these, and let's get this one taken care of. This one doesn't look as bad as the other ones. It's there, but not as bad as the rear for some reason. And as you can see, we swapped out to a longer socket extension to get to the front because it made it a lot more convenient. And like I said, we're dropping them back in there to control the drop.
Nothing gets inside it.
We're double cleaning out the gaskets right here to make sure nothing is inside, even though we had to cover with the towel. We're just doing a deep clean. As you can see, all of them nice and shiny. We have our 6 plugs replaced. We didn't put the coupling back on the front yet, if I'm using the right word. If I'm not, don't worry about it. We didn't put them back on yet because we have to connect the wiring harness, and we didn't want anything in our way whatsoever. So we're gonna, it has the twist towards this way. And then you should be able to mount it smoothly before screwing anything in, because all your screws should line up, especially your 2 main screws which held the top cover on. That'll be your guide.
A stud here and a stud there.
So you'll have those studs, and you can see it's going to line up. And then we're going to tighten everything down and start tackling it there. And you can see we'll make sure we have no holders protruding anywhere they shouldn't be. And then we'll begin connecting them all. And as we begin connecting them all, we're going to put these first 2 basic guides in. Now, don't tighten everything fully in the front until you put all of the majority of your screws in, because you don't want it to be offline or have anything to where the screw doesn't even go in. So we're going to put those in as our halfsies, we'll call them, just as a temporary anchor as we put all the other screws in the front to make sure we have everything in. The one screw we'll put in all the way would be the 14 that'll be in the back over there, to make sure that's a snug, because that has to go in the back. But the rest of these we're going to put in temporarily. We put them halfway in because we want to make sure that they're all in. And as you remember, we had 4 in the front, 4 on the side, and 1 over here. Besides those 2, so that's 6 in the front. We excel at math, yes we do. And we're taking the time to show you that we're putting in the screw so that you can see as well. This gives you a little more description of what's going on. And we'll try to keep you posted as we attach everything else onto here. But this has been a 2-man job, so I don't know exactly what time it is now or what time we start. We started around 12, I believe. I would say a little bit after 12 we started, maybe 12:15, 12:20. So right now it is 1:42, so it's been about 1 hour and 42 minutes. 2 people taking our time learning it step by step. So the original person who posted the video said it took them about 3. I don't know if they said 3 hours or not, or if I just got that from somewhere, but the original person who posted the video said it took him about 3 hours, and I guess it was just him doing it by himself. We followed this video a little bit, and then it gave us a basic guideline and step how to do so. Give him some props for posting that video. I'll tag his username below if I remember to do so, but if not, you'll find his video because it's the only one out there so far that I know on Google. So he gave us the roadmap to do it, but this is where we're at right now, getting them in here. Save quite a few $100s. When I say a few hundreds, way over 6, 7 in regards to dealer labor fees. Spark plugs itself is about 160 bucks. I'll put the links below for that. The tools we use, I'll put the links below for that as well once we get this video posted. And we have the moldings. One thing I say, make sure you keep all your moldings and everything protectively on this so that you can put them back on little by little as they go in. But as you go into it, whether you're mechanically inclined or not, you'll find that just make sure you have a magnetic piece to hold your screws, a bucket to hold them, and you'll be able to get the job done with a little bit of persistency and key, and always have a good mechanic. I got my co-worker Michael helping me out do this. You can see the neighbors is like chugging him on because he's the mechanic. He knows what he's doing around here, so he's helping me out, so I appreciate it. Okay, so I just finished from the 14, which I was able to actually reach it better by putting my hand back this way and screwing it in because it's right here. You can't see right here, but it's right here. Can you see my finger? Finger. It's right here. So we put that back in over there. We hand tighten it, but you're gonna have to use a smaller screw to get, smaller socket set to get back there, and then put the 14 on. And then, as you can see, we lined up these and we tighten these down. So we got those in, and this way that'll help a lot with putting it in. Next, we're gonna put on these couplings over here to connect those back, which is all right here, part of our harness. We want to put these back, and then we're going to connect all of those plastic couplings. I'd recommend doing that before we screw this down to get it tightened, so this way you don't lose that maneuverability. And then we'll work on those, and then we'll put our filter box back in there and everything like that, because our MAF sensor has already been out for an hour. As you can see, it's over there cooling off. Not the MAF sensor, air filter box, but the MAF sensors. There's the MAF cleaner. We have it in the chair over there in the yellow, sitting marked up. I'll blur that license plate out later on in the video, so sorry about that. That's hot rod getting built. But yeah, we're putting it over here, and as you can see on this side, we added these connections back in, and then we'll be connecting this back as well as these. Like I said, do not disconnect that. That's vacuum sealed. This we're putting over here. Some of these you're gonna have to twist off because they're really connected and they've been on there for a while. So make sure you get your little pliers or needle nose to twist them off. Like you see, they got these ridges here. Move a little closer, you can see in clarity. Make sure you give it a little elbow grease to pull those off. Don't be defeated because it gives you a problem on that over there. 2020 Telluride sparkler change, knocking it out. Okay, these are two more on the side that we're doing over here. As you can see in here, we're getting that one right there. It's hard to screw and film at the same time. There's another one back there, so that's two, and then there's one up here. There's four on this side, just remember that. You'll see them all right there, and once again, we're using our hands to torque tighten everything. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Remember those and you'll be good to go. And you can see we're getting tight here. And take your time. You don't want to force strip anything. So once it's in there, you're good. That one's tightened.
You get this last one here.
Whew.
There's torque specs for these, but as long as you put them same tightness as you took them off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, as they said, they're torque specs, but make sure you put them with the same tightness you took them off with. Using hand strength. No Hercules, human gorilla, taking steroids type strength. Regular strength. If you're too strong, let your wife tighten it for you. Okay, now one thing I'll say personally, I found this difficult to put back on because we're at 100,000 miles, so these things were molded to the equipment and they were really tight to get off and tight to get on. So I used a little bit of penetrator on my fingertips. I sprayed my fingertips, not the thing, sprayed my fingertips, and I rubbed it around the edge just a little bit. And I'll just do a little bit around here, like I said, on my fingertips. And that helped it slide on so much smoother than trying to force it on because the rubber gets hard and cold from the heat. So it's already molded itself to it, but that helped it get on a lot easier. Let me know if that works good for you too. All right.
There you got a little plastic nut right here. It just goes in that little rubber grommet down there. And we need to slide this back in. And we just gotta put the 10mm screws back on there.
And the line up and get tightened as we go along on there. And then we'll put our connection valve over here. As we see, we've tightened everything back. Just 10mm that'll hold it in place. And you'll see, as you put everything in, everything will fit back into place smoothly. There's no need to rush or force it. If you have to force it, it ain't right. There's no such thing as too big to fit. It's supposed to fit evenly the same way it came out, the same way as it goes back in. So keep that in mind as you put it back in and take your time. We'll add those into there. Then as you can see, We put everything in here. This is our protective casing for this. So let's make sure we get this back on here, because that's the way it was. Wait, I should have paid more attention when I was taking this off. So this apparently does not go that way because that doesn't fit. So I believe, bada bing, bada boom, and
yeah.
It's like tucking in the baby in the blanket, because everything has its own grooves. That protects that piece.
All right, let's put the MAF back in.
Yeah, we're gonna put the MAF header. That should be nice and dry. Be careful not to touch the circuit points once you put it back in. As you can see, our sensor circuits are nice and dry because it's been about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We're gonna connect the 4 screws into there, tighten it up, and then we'll screw that back on, and we'll connect this back to its outlet, this other connection piece. We'll connect this connection piece as we go along, and then we'll be starting it up to see how she purrs. Okay, so the MAF thing, we have 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're screwing them by hand. As you can see right here a little bit better. We're screwing them by hand because you can use your socket if it's easier, but it doesn't bother me to hand tighten it. But once it gets to the point where it gets tight, then we'll use our socket wrench to tighten them up. But it's good to start with those 4. This way you have it on nice and even, and then you can hit your wrench on there as you please. Funny thing down here, there's an extra little hole I put it in, but it wasn't screwing it tight. And I was like, wait, man, it's too loose, man. It's just going in a hole. And he's like, up, too many holes. That's why you only have one wife. I don't know if that's YouTube explicit, but I thought it was funny. You only need one person to tell you what to do, right? One wife, one time. No side pieces, no side chicks, no side holes. Holes, H-O-L-E-S. Okay, so we got those in here, and we'll tighten those in with our socket wrench, and then we'll connect our sensor along with, where's the other piece go? Into that box right there. Can you see it? Sorry, before I connect it. We'll connect our sensor into there, into here, because we got it nice and clean. And snap on. When you hear snap, you know it's in. Now we're putting the connection back into there. Give us a little bit of difficulty, but we're getting it on. But it may have been a good idea to put that on first before putting in the air filter. But we did it the other way, so we're making it work. Yeah, I think we should take the air filter off. Yeah, we're going to take the air filter off because that should be able to roll back this smoothly, and everything was tilted up a little bit higher from when I took it off. This was all tilted up higher. So let's take this off. We'll take that off, and we'll put that on first. Stay tuned. As you can see, we got the sensor connector right, and we have the tubing. We put it on. It was a lot easier putting it on once we took off the air cabin filter. No, that's not the air cabin filter, right? That's just the air filter for the engine. Filter box. We took the filter box, and then now with the slot smooth connection, we connected it back over there and connected it back over here. And we used a 10mm to tighten it up. We got our the MAF sensor connected. Now we put our filter box back in, and as always, the screws that hold that on, don't forget those 2. No, there's more than 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
3 on this guy.
Oh, 3 on this one? 3 on the harness. So we'll put those on there. Good thing we looked in the bucket and seen those little holes, because as you're finishing up the job, you're kind of tired and you're ready to wrap it up. So things happen. But make sure that you don't leave any openings that you see. And if you have any screws left, you know it's not right. This is pretty cool. Found this. I think it's a plate. It was laying down there on that. It must have been there since production.
Transaxle.
On a transaxle. It must have been there since production. Who knows? But pretty cool. I don't think it's worth anything, but finders keepers, losers weepers, right? All right. Okay, so now we got the baby sitting in there pretty. You can see we got the 2 holes ready, and it's mounted right. We'll tighten that 10mm onto there, and then we'll button those 2 buckles in and put this piece back into there. Okay, and we just recently changed that filter in there, so that's good. And It seems like we have fair weather. It's just now starting to drizzle, so we're getting this done right on time. Thank you for the Mother Nature giving us a break. Appreciate you. Okay, so just to let you know, there was 4 little silver things that stuck up, as you probably seen in the video, that we stuck that on. Not even going to wipe it or clean it off anymore because it's nice and clean. We added that piece back as we connected that to the filter. We connected the battery back as well. Everything looks nice and tight. Now, I'm not going to lie, we did lose 1 screw, but it was a 10 millimeter, but we added another 10 millimeter to replace it, but that was for the air filter box. It fell down there somewhere, but I'm not worried about it. I'm sure it'll come out as we're driving. As long as my wife doesn't hear that it drops, I'll be okay. But wife, if you're watching that, just rewind 3 seconds and erase your memory. Thank you. Appreciate it. But other than that, everything else looks good to go. We're going to start her up and see how it blows. But we'll make sure, let's clean up everything out over here first, and we'll get everything running. All right, so we got the engine cleared. Spray a little bit of clean on there, clean that up, blah, blah, blah. So let's get it, baby, a little whirl twirl. See how we're looking so far. Oh. Nice smooth startup. It didn't go clickety clack clack boom bang. So we're looking good. Idle was nice and smooth. So we're good to go on that. We can hear it in there. Give it a little rub. Now I do know that when you clean the MAF center, it was saying that you should at least drive without speeding for at least 10 minutes. So I'm gonna leave it running. And then I'll drive low, like around here to 35, 40. Thanks for tuning in. As we said, we got it done. Saved a couple of $100, which I didn't want to really spend and I couldn't afford by getting this changed ourselves. But if I can do it, and I'm not a mechanic, you could do it. Thanks to my brother Mike for helping me as well.